Let me call the closing business session to order at 3:37 p.m. on October 29th. I'm going to just jump right in. And now our parliamentarian is ready by the desk. We'll explain the voting procedures. Come on up.
Good afternoon, delegates.
Good afternoon.
A copy of the standing rules of convention is located on the delegate information sheet, which you were provided with. It can also be found in the MediaFest app. Each chapter has been awarded one vote for each 50 members or fraction thereof. Each region has been awarded one vote for each 50 unaffiliated members or fraction thereof. Each delegate has been given a voting card or cards with the number of votes assigned to that specific delegate by his or her chapter. Delegates may not, I repeat, may not vote by proxy. Accredited alternate delegates may vote in the absence of the accredited delegate, but may only vote the same number of votes as the original delegate. Members of chapter delegations must sit together, and during the voting procedure, only voting delegates or alternates replacing voting delegates will be permitted in the delegate section of the hall. That section is in front of the stanchions. No delegates will be permitted to enter the delegate section after the start of the voting count, whether by card, roll call, or ballot. Anyone leaving the section after the count begins will not be permitted to return until voting on the issues is completely announced as follows. If necessary, the vote count will be taken by the sergeant at arms, Steve Guyon, Steve Larry, and their assigned vote counters. On each vote, accredited delegates should hold up their voting card. If the delegate wishes to split his vote, he or she must go to the microphone at the start of the vote. Again, delegates who split votes may not vote from their seats. You must go to the microphone at the start of the vote. If voting is by ballot, you will receive a ballot equal to the number of votes on your delegate card. Again, you will not be permitted to vote if you leave the room during the count unless you have transferred your vote card to your accredited alternate delegate. As a reminder, delegates have the option to send an issue to the membership as a binding referendum at any time. Madam President, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Israel Valderas. All right. Election results. Yes, it says here, before we get to the resolutions and business, I'd like to report the results for election of the National Board of Directors, our newly elected board members, President Reagan, Vice President Ashanti Blaze Hopkins, had 239 votes. It's close. Rafael Luna got 263 votes. Congratulations. Ashanti Blaze Hopkins is our new Vice President. Secretary Treasurer Israel Valderas had 311 votes. Michael Koretsky had 297 votes. A close one again. That means Israel Valderas is our new Secretary Treasurer. Congratulations. Directors at large for 2 years now. Joe Radsky had 244 votes. Adam Sennett had 289 votes. Kevin Smith had 324 votes. Peter Zake had 220 votes. Again, very close. That means Adam Sennett and Kevin Smith are your new 2-year term directors at large. Congratulations. Let's go to regional coordinators. Region 1 coordinator, Chris Vaccaro with 131 votes. Region 4 coordinator, Jenny McCabe with 43 votes. Region 5 coordinator, Nicole DeCrescio with 33 votes. Region 7 coordinator, no candidate, so feel free to jump up for that position. Region 8 coordinator, no candidate. Region 9 coordinator, Mackenzie Romero with 34 votes. Congratulations. So that means Chris, Jenny, Nicole, Mackenzie are all your new regional coordinators. The election was conducted electronically by secret ballot, reported by SPJ staff and verified by Yvette Richards herself. Total number of voters was 640 voters. All right, now it's time to swear in the new people. I will now swear in our new board members with the exception of the incoming president, who will be installed this evening. Could you please join me in front of the stage? Anybody? Yes, you too. Ashanti, Israel, all the regional coordinators, come on, Kevin, Adam. All right, should I be down? I'll be up here because congratulations, Kevin. All right. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. Having been duly elected as an officer of the society. All the regional coordinators, where are you? Right. I want to make sure. All right, I'm just going to, out of respect for the regional coordinators, just start that over. I hope you don't mind. Every regional coordinator, Chris McCarroll's not up here, but we will swear him via Zoom, I assume. Claire, we don't have to do that. All right, so we're going to start all over. Having been duly elected.
Having been duly elected.
I send aloud, you guys, so they can hear you, as an officer of the society.
As an officer of the society.
I do hereby promise.
I do hereby promise.
To uphold its ideals.
To uphold its ideals.
I pledge myself.
I pledge myself.
To do all in my power.
To do all in my power.
To perform faithfully.
To perform faithfully.
The duties assigned.
The duties assigned to me.
And to serve fellow journalists.
And to serve fellow journalists.
Whether of the society or not.
Whether of the society or not.
And so endeavor to enrich the profession.
And so endeavor to enrich the profession.
With the ideals of the Society of Professional Journalists.
With the ideals of the Society of Professional Journalists.
This I promise.
This I promise.
And pledge myself to perform.
And pledge myself to perform.
Thank you. All of us congratulate you as new leaders. Congratulations, everyone. We already lined up or something?
Yes, Lauren Bartlett, Regional One.
Well, I have to go through, we may want to chill for a minute, but I gotta go through the business.
I'm here to make a motion to suspend. I move that we suspend the rules and consider the resolutions as the first order of business.
Oh,
I'll cross Bluegrass chapter, second the motion.
we're gonna go to the approval of the business meeting. Right, so, I don't know if I don't understand here, but approval of the business meetings, I have to go through that, and the convention bylaws information, so,
We're perfectly happy to have the minutes approved, but we want the resolutions considered before the vote.
And I will be silent.
okay. Excuse me. All right. Assembly stand at ease.
I just, oh. I think it might.
After considering your motion, I'm going to rule it out of order.
I appeal the ruling of the chair.
Excuse me. it's out
I
of
appeal the
order,
ruling of the
and-
chair.
Excuse me, It's out of order, and I will continue.
You're not, this is not out of order, it's presidential. I appeal the ruling of the chair.
Let's just take it down a little bit. We're just going to. Okay. All right, discussion for appeal?
This appeal is based on the desire to have the resolutions considered first. Because a key resolution would delay the consideration of the bylaws amendments, some of which many of us think are precipitous and need further consideration. If you want arguments, see our argument for that in detail, it's in your resolutions packet. That's why we want resolutions placed before the bylaws in the order of business. In order to do that, we have to suspend the rules. The chair has ruled inexplicably that is out of order. It is not out of order. I have plenty of parliamentary procedure experience. That motion is in order at any time. We moved to suspend the rules. We stated what we want to do, and a 2/3 vote of this body can suspend the rules for the purpose for which we have stated. And I'm prepared to answer any
further
questions.
discussion, please?
Becker, Region 2.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your name, please?
I can't hear you too well.
Bob Becker, Region 2. The main issue here is whether certain of the amendments would be tabled until next year to be brought back in a different form. If we decide the resolution and it prevails, then the debate over that provision would be put off, which would greatly reduce the length of this meeting, I believe. And as a matter of efficiency, if nothing else, it would be better to resolve that. If the resolution fails, then the debate will happen. But if the body believes that we should delay that consideration, then it's unnecessary to spend the time going through the full debate on that bylaws amendments. And then end up with it either dying or being put off after. So this motion intends to actually try to make things more efficient.
Point of order or information, or to make clear or reassure that this is a motion before the body to uphold or reject the ruling of the chair. Is that correct? And it requires a simple majority of the body. This is not the suspension of the rules motion. This is the appeal of the ruling of the chair. I believe that requires a simple majority.
Can Adam speak?
Sure.
Under what rule?
Under Robert's rules.
Cite the number, please.
Bob, you got the book?
Working on it, right? This is silly, they just don't.
No, hold on, we're not done with that. Under what?
On your appeal,
Please go to the microphone. Again, every time you go to the microphone, please cite your name so it's on the record.
Bob Becker, and an appeal.
Are we looking
Hold
for?
on, 1 second, Madam President.
Please, let's be respectful, please. I hear you from back there, but let's go to the audience. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Madam President, I am trying to find.
Well, sir, you cited it over there, and when you have the number, I know you said Robert's Rules, and you was telling me you were a parliamentarian expert.
I'm sorry,
I can cite you the rule number,
I
because
have-
I don't have the
I
book.
mean, you just said I'm
Bob
not-
has the book,
One
the parliamentarian has the book.
moment, Madam President, I have not.
I understand, but you just said a moment ago that he was an expert, a parliamentarian expert.
Okay, it is 25.
To the mic, Bob.
I'm sorry, 25.3, paragraph 7, I believe. 25:3, paragraph 7, which says, "The majority or a tie sustains the decision of the chair on an appeal." So a majority,
Is that the 12th edition?
that's the 12th edition. It is 25.3, chapter, paragraph 7.
Stand at ease, please.
You speak again.
Can I?
She's got us at ease, but you're welcome. Speak. You're welcome. You have to recognize it.
You're still doing your.
So they're gonna short circuit.
I'm sorry, 24.3?
Oh, 24.
I'm sorry,
That's-
24.3, I'm sorry.
Correct,
The microphone.
Yeah, 24.3, paragraph 7.
Madam Chair, I have a point of order. This vote should be conducted by the vice president, should it not? Since we are appealing the chair's ruling.
Who wants conducted by the vice president? Since they're feeling free.
Did you confirm it's a majority vote for this, and we're still continuing the debate? Adam?
Adam said it, SPJ, think it's silly, they're just trying to delay the vote. Don't let them do it. We've been working on this for a year. We should be allowed to vote on this, so please vote.
Hold on.
Well, I've already spoken. I think she has
Please
precedent.
give your name.
Megan Campbell, SPJ, Western Washington Pro Chapter. We've flown all the way from Seattle with our board's approval to vote on this, and we would like to have discussion and debate and do what our board wants to do and our members, so, thanks.
Please state your name every time.
Al Cross Bluegrass Chapter, former national president. Actually, what we're trying to do is foster discussion and debate. Because we're concerned that the bylaws amendments would prevent the sort of meaningful, personalized discussion and debate that we've always had on bylaws and resolutions. I also speak as a former chair of the Resolutions Committee. And I can recall countless times when resolutions were approved, even bylaws amendments were approved, because people got together at the convention, not just in one-on-one conversations or emails or little Zoom meetings, but delegates from chapters got together and reached a consensus and improved the product. That is our primary objection
Should you say
to the bylaws amendments. We realize that there needs to be an opportunity for greater democracy and give members more of a vote, but we think this has gone way too far, and it needs further consideration. We need to think about the quality of the product that comes out of these conventions.
Thank you. Continue debate.
I did want to speak.
Hi, I'm Bernie, New Jersey, SPJ. I come to you as a former parliamentarian just to bring a point of order. So the motion to appeal the decision of the chair is undebatable. So what should happen is this body should vote on that motion, either vote it up or vote it down, and then deal with the issue that was initially brought, which requires a 2/3 vote of this body. So this continued discussion is out of order.
Thank you.
One more.
You want to get out of it? Go ahead. If the parliamentarian would like to rule on what the last speaker said, then we should cease discussion right now. If we're not going to cease discussion right now, which I hope we do, I would like to call the question, and if somebody seconds it, we immediately have a 2/3 vote in order to go to a vote. And then we'll vote on the underlying question. But we should not be debating the merits of the bylaws amendments at the microphone when the subject matter is whether we are going to approve overruling the chair's decision.
Correct.
The parliamentarian rules that the previous speaker, parliamentarian, are correct.
So has the previous question been
Excuse me,
moved?
sir. Excuse me.
Point of order, Madam
Excuse
President.
me, please.
Point of order, Madam President. Robert Becker.
Robert,
I believe.
Mr. Becker, please. All right, yes, Mr. Becker.
I believe this kind of motion, an appeal here is debatable because it is not related to another pending motion, no main motion on the floor. It is so totally related to the motion to suspend. And under 24 point, again, 24 point, so 24.3, paragraph 5, I believe this is a debatable appeal.
Thank you. Related to the priority of business. So still on the floor issue, so let's vote up or down whether to suspend the rules and to suspend the rules. Anybody else cross? Second by. So the question is on the floor.
Point of order. I'll cross Bluegrass second. The question before the House is my appeal of your rule, which is a majority vote. That is the question that needs to be, that has been called, as I think someone's trying to call this. That's the pending motion to appeal your rule.
But that appeal is out of order as pointed out by the previous parliamentarian.
Now, I'm appealing that ruling. And if it forced me to appeal another ruling, I'll appeal that one too. You know, the question before the House should be whether or not your ruling is appropriate.
But your ruling was out of order.
Robert Becker, with all due respect, the prior speaker said it's undebatable, not that it requires a greater vote or anything. The only issue is whether your ruling that it was out of order to suspend the rules is appealed, and therefore the question is the validity of your original ruling, and whether it's debatable or not, the vote is still a simple majority.
Any continuing discussion?
Point of order. Al Cross, what is the question before the House?
Question for the House is whether or not this issue is appealable, and we're discussing that issue right now.
The question before the House is whether this issue is appealable.
I beg to differ. All rulings are appealable, and I'm appealing to ruling. That is the question before the House.
All right, let's debate that issue.
I'm ready to vote on it.
The question is whether or not she this motion. That's the question. Yeah. So do you want to overrule? Yeah. So that's she said it
Any further discussion?
and then we go whether this is
So, Brendan O'Reilly, based on everything I heard from the previous parliamentarian, we shouldn't even be having this discussion. We should immediately go to a vote on whether the body would like to overrule the chair or not. And that's what I suggest we do.
I still stand that this discussion is out of order.
Appeal matter.
And I feel it too. The body must vote on the appeal. That is a solid rule of Robert's Rules of Order. We must obey it.
That's what he said. They did. Why would I say what's going on is good?
Stand at ease, please.
Somebody chaired a particular committee. Extra higher. And the panel is supposed at the same time. Because according to Adam, I didn't do this, but obviously on. And then when Rebecca comes as the chair of the delegate commission, we have hearings on this. The SPJ, nobody reconvenes that, but there were 8 hearings on this proposal.
Okay, so let's take a vote on whether my decision that this is out of order is improper.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Conversation? Discussion is closed. Let's take a vote.
No means if your ruling's okay.
Yes.
Madam Chair, if I may. So the motion is to whether this body wants to uphold the ruling of the chair. So you stated in the affirmative. So if you agree with the ruling of the chair, you vote yes. If you believe it should be overturned, you vote no.
Thank you.
No, I think that's.
You were saying you're.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
So the yes vote is for. Discussion.
I just have a question to clarify, that was, okay. Annie Bennett, point of order. So if we were to vote.
Identify yourself, please.
I did, Annie Bennett.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if we were to vote no, that would mean that we, don't think it was out of order and that we're upholding it, or no, the other way around. Okay, so vote no. So then the question is, if we vote against her ruling, but we don't agree with what they're trying to do, will there then be another vote at that?
Yes.
Okay, that's all. There's some confusion in my section.
I appreciate it.
Can you just clarify the question?
Thank you for your patience.
Clarify the question. Right? Appeal the ruling of the chair. So if you vote yes, that means you agree that this discussion is improper. If you vote no, you are saying that it is proper. And then you will
That's not very clear.
Can you say that again?
Support Rebecca is a yes.
Improper, you believe this is improper, this whole discussion is improper. You vote yes.
Appeal is.
If you believe that it's not improper, you vote no.
If we're supporting what Rebecca said, it's a yes.
That's correct. You support what Rebecca is saying, it's a yes. Okay?
All right. I just objected, after I was on board, I objected to the use of the word improper. All we're talking about here is out of order. You know, whether or not it fits Robert's rules of order. And I appreciate the clarification.
So again, I'm sure you've heard it over and over, and I apologize that we have to repeat it. It's a yes if you believe it is that my ruling is correct, and a no if it is not correct.
Just gonna vote for this.
All right. So vote for yes. Raise your cards. Please raise your right hand, please.
Just supporting the reservation.
Can you keep your cards up again? I'm just gonna take it one more time.
6. Doesn't require a hand count, just a simple majority.
Okay. She also was counting, same.
Keep the cards up.
I got 27 on this side.
Here down.
Yes,
Okay.
27.
That was the word, okay. Now we have to do the vote.
Thank you.
We're not, we're still. Okay. Now the no votes. You ready, Sonny?
Ready?
No votes?
Thank you. Keep it down.
Put down your cards if you're voting no. Raise them.
Careful.
Yeah.
49 votes, 37
Side there. So now we're going to vote.
No, so now that means we have to proceed with the motion, which is the motion. That requires.
Oops.
Wait.
You have to announce the vote.
Gotta get recognized.
All right, so the votes were 49 no, 37 yes. Now we're going to the big question.
Okay, so, Lauren, page 11, point of order, wanted to clarify that we're now going to be voting on whether to suspend rules.
Correct, that's the question.
Thank you.
Now, Charles, further clarification, to suspend the rules for the purpose of, this is a joint motion, has the effect of moving resolutions of bylaws on the agenda. Okay, very good.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Thank you for your patience.
just all of it.
All right, the question on the floor now is whether to suspend the rules. Moved by Lauren Bartlett, second by. Discussion.
Yes, this is the point of order, so the question for the question might be interesting. So if we were to have these resolutions considered after the amendments, since the, the resolution is a question here, is whether we table this. If hypothetically the amendments were passed today, and then we got to the resolution part, and people voted to table it, would that supersede the vote that had just happened, or not?
I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't. Sorry.
Appreciate
Do you know about that?
It is a moot point. It's a moot point to consider a resolution on tables.
That would be correct. So for the purposes of this, if you were to vote on it, the amendments that were proposed could be defeated before it gets to this point. But the resolution is an attempt to say, we have concerns and we are going to resolve them. The point is, yes, it would be, the resolution would be moot if the assembly were to either reject or approve the bylaws amendments that are at the issue.
Point of inquiry, we're still talking about a motion to suspend rules?
Yes.
Okay. This is Robert's Rules of Order. A motion to suspend rules may neither be amended nor debated, which for some reason we're debating it, it shouldn't be, and it requires a 2/3 vote.
Yes.
The debate has to stop, and we have to go to a 2/3 vote. If 2/3 of the people here would like to suspend the rules, we do it. If 2/3 don't, we don't do it. The debate has to stop.
Let's take a vote. Thank you. All right, let's take a vote. Yes to suspend the rules, no to.
For the purpose of reordering.
The agenda.
Discussing resolution.
One at a time.
I don't know what I'm voting on.
I have a card.
No.
For the purpose of, we're going to suspend the rules for the purpose.
And they have,
Can you get
they're
up to the
gonna do
mic?
that if people think they're voting. Which they're not saying.
Lauren Bartlett, Regional Administrative Establishment. Oh, you want me to restate my motion?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I move that we suspend the rules and consider the resolutions as the first order of business.
What is it? I think most people want to know what they're gonna mean. We don't know what that means.
It means that we won't get to the amendments.
We won't debate or we will debate. They're
Here's
trying
the
to kill it
question
before
for,
they will never let us
suspend the
talk
rules
about the bylaws.
to consider for the purpose of.
My apologies. Can you write that down again, please? I'm trying to write it.
Okay. Lauren Bartlett, Regional 11. I move we suspend the rules and consider the resolutions as the first order of business.
Next.
Next order of business.
All right, here's a question.
Point of clarification, Madam Chair, to answer Michael's question, I believe is a vote, yes, would A, suspend the rules, and B, move the resolution to up above. The net effect of that would be to move up. So a yes vote moves the resolutions up to above.
Okay, Michael Crest, Florida Pro. I can't be the only one, you're not getting this, I'm gonna channel Delegate Bennett. What do we have to do to vote so that people can actually talk about the issues? What is the vote that would allow people to actually get, like, I don't agree with all the issues that people support, but I want to hear it. So like, what do I vote to do that?
I guess so.
I want everyone to talk. This woman came from Washington, she wants to talk. I don't have to agree with it, I just want to hear it. Sorry.
You would vote no then.
Excuse me, someone's at the microphone, please. No.
Alcross Bluegrass chapter, I heard the parliamentarian say that you vote against suspending the rules. We wanted to have an immediate discussion. No, because if you move the resolutions to the next order of business, we will have a discussion about any and all issues, including the bylaws amendments. You can't limit that debate. The resolution at issue is whether or not to table the bylaws amendments. So we're going to talk about the whole thing.
I have a point of order, Bob Shapiro. When this was originally moved, I don't know, 45, 50 minutes ago, I heard more that the reason they wanted to do that was because a resolution may make the bylaws moot, and that would mean that, I just want to understand it, because that would mean that our chapter, which worked very hard to get delegates and bring them here, we wouldn't really get to have the vote and discussion in the proper format. So do I understand that correctly? That's the reason that was said earlier? I think that's it for me.
All right, we're going to vote to suspend the rules for consideration of the next order of business. Let's vote.
Consider the next order of business.
Consider the next order of business. All right, let's vote.
Yes.
Yes. So yes.
Yes, hold up your cards for yes.
No, what does it mean? What does yes mean?
To suspend the
To
rules.
suspend the rules.
Would you like to do the microphone?
Sure.
Please tell us who you want.
Sonny Alvarado, Arkansas Pro. The delegate asked, what are we voting on? We're voting whether to suspend the rules to allow the resolutions to be considered as the next order of business, rather than the order of business they're in on your agendas. Okay? So, yes, suspend the rules. No, it's not.
There's a clarification. Yes, to suspend the rules, no to not.
All right.
Yes.
Sonny, excuse me for the clarification, Bernie, New Jersey. So if you look at your agenda on your 1980 act, the next item for discussion, according to the agenda, is 6, convention bylaws information. The motion wants to take up item 7, which is convention resolution. Now, I disagree with the previous speaker who said that if under resolutions, you wanted to talk about the amendments and all those other things, that would be out of order, because the discussion should be, let me speak, I didn't talk when you did.
Delegates, please be respectful of the people at the microphone, okay?
The resolution should be about that topic, so you can't bring up any topic that you want to. The resolution seeks to delay this whole procedure until next year. So you can't talk about the merits of the amendment and any other issue. So this body has to decide whether you want to take up item 6, which is next on the agenda, or if you want to take it out of order. As the motion is made.
Lauren Bartlett, Regional Point of Order. Resolution number 3 contains the topics that are in the proposed bylaws amendments, so they would be able to be discussed and should be discussed and recommending in the context of the resolutions rather than the context of proposed bylaws changes.
All right, no further discussion, let's take a vote.
Does everybody understand what we're voting here?
That's what yes and no mean.
So like, yes. Like,
Suspend
yes
the
to
rules.
suspend the rules, move the resolutions up. Right?
No,
Yes
keeps
to
everything as
suspend
it
the
is.
rules, resolutions up. No to suspend the rules,
Keeps
we
it,
move into the bylaws discussion.
keeps the agenda as it is.
Keep the agenda as it is. Okay? Everybody clear on that?
Yeah.
A yes and a no. Okay? Pretty good?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right, yes, vote please.
Yes, votes?
Say yes to.
Keep it up.
That's right.
Right, I should say.
That's correct. Yes to suspend the rules.
Yes, to suspend the rules.
Can you make sure your numbers are to the front?
Yeah.
It has to be 2/3 majority.
I don't think it's-
How many people voted?
All right, yes, Don, please. No, no votes, please.
Count one more time on this.
Okay, for no, can you have your numbers up again?
Not yes.
No,
One no, keep your hands up.
keep your hands up for no.
No, yes. They should just move it up and get it over with.
Are you voting no? Yes, 53, no, 39. Who's that? 2/3?
$53 and $39. Motion failed.
Sorry.
By thirds has to.
Passed by, yes, had it prevailed by 2/3.
The motion fails.
Madam Chair, motion to recess.
Point of order. The chair has a responsibility not to entertain dilatory and frivolous motions that are designed to obstruct the business of the body. Any more of the frivolous motions should not be entertained. They are designed to stop us from doing the business that we only get to do once a year. No more entertaining frivolous motions. If somebody wants to appeal that and somebody seconds it, we will immediately go to a vote with no debate. We have to stop adding debate where there's no provision of Robert's rules to let us debate these things.
That was a motion to recess, not a motion to adjourn. Motion to recess for breaks, for a brief break. Body break.
How long?
Motion recess for 5 minutes.
No. No. We need to continue our business. Brendan is correct, this is going through now. So let's move on to the question on the issue of the agenda. We're discussing files. I now recognize Alex McQuinn, our bylaws committee chair.
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon, delegates, and good afternoon to our members observing at the back of the room. I will briefly go off script in light of what just happened here, and say there's a little bit of deja vu all over again. I've never seen it so dramatically done. But in light of what our colleague, it was PCLI, said, I have seen other meetings where we have tried to run out the clock, perhaps not as efficiently and meticulously as that. And just to go off script, I was reminded repeatedly of the great Humphrey Bogart line in Martin's Falcon, where he says, well, we could start preferring charges, that's neither here nor there. She could swear a charge against you, you could swear a charge against them. I just want to say.
Point of order, Madam President.
Thank you for
This
allowing me to
diatribe is
speak.
out of order.
Thank you for allowing me to give my presentation. And I do hope we will have time to consider both bylaws and resolutions before we need to adjourn a few words. I also want to say that in 15 years I've been here, I've actually never seen an issue debated more in public than the core question has been debated over the past year. We've had 7 town halls, we've had 7 task force meetings, 2 town halls, 3 board meetings. So I just want to say it's been a very publicly debated, and I hope we have a time for robust discussion today. Okay, so moving on to the presentation. The other thing I do want to point out is that we have many important amendments in the set of proposals that are unrelated to the delegate system. We've broken out these so-called housekeeping amendments recommended by the bylaws committee into block A, and these are for the most part routine. They correct errors. Some of them are errors that have been in the bylaws for many years, and also make important clarifications. This is something that was discussed by our bylaws committee. We do believe that bylaws should be easily understood, and that they should not be prone to misinterpretation when used outmoded language. So that's block A. Block B, we felt that it was important to break out the associates question from the other recommendations that came out of our bylaws committee, because we did not have all the information. When we were drafting these bylaws over the summer, we have since learned that there may be more information, and that may require more discussion. So we wanted to break that out from the simple housekeeping. So actually, it is block C that deals with the implementation of the task force. And I want to point out that the board referred the task force recommendations to the bylaws committee. The bylaws committee did not, and I repeat, did not take an official position on the task force recommendations. We were merely implementing them. And this is the point that most of this discussion has been about in this conference, which would be removing certain language in the bylaws, for example, about apportioning delegates, plus adding language that would allow for resolutions and bylaws to be put on the annual ballot that is mailed to members. And I do want to make one important point here, because there's something that our bylaws committee felt should be in the board policies and not in the bylaws. It's difficult to communicate that, since most of you have before you go to bylaws. I had a very lengthy discussion with our current resolutions chair, so many people here today. I want to thank Jim for filling in for him. But Michael Savino and I had a long talk about this, He said, first of all, that he does work on resolutions throughout the year, and that he thought the amendments that we were proposing that would be fine to do the resolutions in advance on conference. But he did point out, and I want to repeat this since he couldn't be here, that for some last minute resolutions, such as thanking the staff, thanking the outgoing president, and also making statements, you know, if a journalist was arrested by the conference, that would still go on, he felt, at the general membership meeting. It would probably be a bit more informal than what we've just observed so far. We wanted to keep those conditions live, but we decided that would be the best left in the board policy manual. So I do, when you look at those as a package, I want you to understand what we're discussing about resolutions is to put resolutions on the annual ballots that is mailed to members. The general membership meeting, which if you pass that package, would be open to every member in good standing who comes to the convention. They could still pass statements, they could do voice vote, they could congratulate people. So that tradition would still continue, but in a different way. And we felt that it should be in the policies, so that could evolve over time. And finally, block D includes a few proposals that you can vote on separately if you decide today to retain the delegate system. Because these are essentially housekeeping amendments, sections of the bylaw that would be cut if you approve them. So it makes no sense to debate it. But if you decide to keep the delegate system at least for another year, then you can vote on D. And I would like to point out that our past bylaws chair, my predecessor, wrote a great deal of the changes in D. He sat in on the 1 4.5-hour drafting meeting. He was included in that. And as a participant, as an observer, probably would have been a shorter meeting, to be honest. But he contributed a lot of language. He also had a lot of problems understanding the current amendment in the bylaws about amending the bylaws. There's a lot of confusion. One major point is that it refers to a referendum, and several of us thought that was a referendum that went to all members. And Bob said the original intent, and that is a referendum that goes to the chapter, and the chapter leader gets a vote based on their delegate count. In other words, if they have 3, then they get 3 votes. So it's, in essence, a way to do a referendum into delegate meetings. That's not clear at all in how read 14. So he rewrote that and sent that in. So if we get to D, those are changes from him. Those are not to change the system we have in place, which is to clarify that language. And there's also a change in there to take 2 references out to delegates debating on the floor of the convention. That would open up the possibility of a virtual or hybrid meeting. It would not have it required. Future boards would have the option to do either only an in-person meeting like this, only a virtual meeting, for example, if we have another pandemic, or a hybrid meeting. During the pandemic, the board had to vote to suspend the bylaws in order to hold an all virtual meeting. They wouldn't have to do that if we make that change today. And finally, I would like to thank you, the delegates, and I do want to also put this out. I want to thank both the delegates who voted to retain this presentation first, and also want to do the resolution first. I want to thank all of you for the time and attention that you've already devoted to these very important topics we're discussing today. And I look forward to a thoughtful discussion that we have going forward today. I'd like to have the president.
I don't want to hurt your computer here. Thank you. Therefore, do I have a motion on the delegates so we can start discussion on block A?
On the reason from your agenda, I move that we approve block A as written.
Rafael, that's a second.
Moved by Colin and Dr. Lewis. All right, discussion. No discussion? Let's take a vote. Just vote to approve. Let's do that. All right. Would you want to do it by voice or do you want it by
Madam Chair, Maryland, Bernie, New Jersey, bylaws amendments require a two-thirds vote, so you must, can, or anything, but must count.
Within, with all due respect, under our bylaw, it only requires a simple majority.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Take a vote. The board vote.
Robert Becker, I would request this card.
On block A. To approve. A yes vote. Who's block A? To approve block A, please vote. A yes or no?
It says it on the card.
All right, now the no vote. Nice and high, please.
$93 to 3.
Yes votes?
Yes, folks. Yes, folks. 3 no votes.
I'm sorry, the other was what?
3.
93 yes votes, no votes, the motion carries for block A. All right, do I have a motion so we may start discussion on block B?
I would like to move that we can motion that the delegates can consider voting on block C right now, ahead of block B.
Do I have a second?
Joanne Hernandez, Florida, I second.
Discussion, please.
Al Cross, Bluegrass Center. That appears to be a motion to suspend the rules to change the order of business or not. I've asked parliamentary rule.
We're in favor of C, but we're very much against B. Right. Depending on how it's phrased.
Al
But it'd be
Cross,
great if we
director
did
of
C first.
block.
and give you credit to B.
Do I have a motion so we may start discussion on block B?
Congress, New York, President. I motion that we oppose block B.
Bob Shapiro from New Jersey, I second his motion opposing block B, which I think means we keep the associate members, if I understand correctly.
All right. Discussion on closing block B.
Lauren Bartlett, Region 11. We have had associate members for many, many years, and they are not members. They cannot vote. They cannot take part in the business of the society. But with all of the attacks that are going on in journalism now, I think it's very important that those who support the work that we do have the ability to do that by supporting us. They get, I believe it's a staff email. I think they just get a separate email newsletter sort of telling them what's going on. And the dues went from $95 to $20 quite a number of years ago. But to eliminate them all is sending a message that we don't want people who support us to be behind the society, and I think that's the wrong message to deliver.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody, any other debate discussion?
Bob Shapiro, New Jersey. I've met some people, for one person in particular I mentioned, who was one of the ones who proposed eliminating associate members. And he said, well, you know, frankly, at the time, we weren't aware of the unintended consequences, so that there was no malice involved. New Jersey is very much going to be, if we lose associate members, an unintended consequence. On Tuesday, we begin our renewal request cards and our membership drive. We have 110 associate members. If you read the email, it had to do with the press card program. I've heard that we count our associate members as delegates. No, we don't. I've heard that it's a cheap way to join SPJ. No, it isn't, because they spend a lot more actually with press cards. If you read my email, I would have said an hour ago, maybe an hour. We need them, but the most important thing is we had to do it in a rush because the New Jersey Press Association dumped 900 journalists who had press cards in New Jersey were not working for NJPA newspapers. We had to do something for them. We had to do it quickly, and that cost money, which is why press cards cost so much. We couldn't put a gun to their heads on dues to join an organization. Not only they didn't want to join SPJ, they didn't know what SPJ was. But the good news is the first renewal year, we got 34% of them to upgrade to full SPJ members. And the second year, we got 54% to upgrade to full members. And as for those who don't upgrade, we do our roster, no work for the headquarters staff, $20, we tell them, all you'll do, you'll get some emails for that. Another $20 to stop the emails. And we sent a spreadsheet and a check for thousands and thousands of dollars. And $20 times roughly 150 people times 3 years is $9,000. We gave SPJ a check, a spreadsheet, that's it. So should SPJ maybe go through its category someday? Yeah, we're not opposed to that. We need chapters, but this way, right now, dumping them, please vote no on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the discussion.
Hi, I'm Dave Lebanon, past New Jersey chapter president. And what Bob really said is that we went from about 100 members to 250 members in about a 2 to 3 period. It's not child's play. It is not silly parliamentary maneuvering. It goes to the very heart of this organization. 2 Tuesdays from now, if what I read on my computer is correct, a clearly anti-journalism Congress is going to be voted in. And the voice of SPJ is going to become geometrically more important than it's been throughout for many years. So, you know, I don't know if what we do in New Jersey is replicable to other chapters, but it does offer hope. And I think every member that we lose decreases our ability to speak on behalf of journalism. And every member we gain strengthens our ability to speak for journalism. So we should definitely keep associate members. It's a very important part of what we do.
Thank you.
At Senate SPJ dealing with the associate members are important in SPJ dealing, they're important to SPJ dealing.
Any further discussion? All right, so can I have a motion to oppose Lot B? I had much to people.
Hey, point of order. Just want to clarify that my motion was to oppose Block B changes. So an affirmative vote would be with keeping associates.
So yes is to keep associates, okay.
A yes vote is opposing the changes in Block B. The changes in Block B are to remove associates, so you're opposing.
So I sent an email telling you all to vote no, vote yes.
Oops. All right, let's take a vote, a motion to oppose. Lot B. Yes to oppose, let's see your card.
Yes keeps associate members.
Yes to oppose.
Yes keeps associate member.
We love associates.
Wings on this thing.
Are we keeping them up or?
The nose, please. Sorry, there's some more. No, take note. All right, 97 yes, the motion passes to keep associate members. The motion passes to keep associate members. You want to have a motion? Section block C. I'd like to make a motion to develop to block C. Any discussion?
Yes, I discussion. Hi, my name is Brendan O'Reilly. I'm the president of the Press Club of Long Island. Excuse me, I'm a printer, not a broadcaster, so I'm speaking both as well as all of you. I was also a member of the Delegate Analysis Task Force. I joined the Delegate Task Force as a newcomer to the workings of National SPJ and with an open mind. When I attended last year's virtual business meeting, my first experience as a delegate, I quickly realized that the delegate system was broken and rife with abuse. But I was prepared to salvage it, to find ways to make it fairer and actually proportionally representative of the members of SPJ. However, over the course of the task force thorough review process, including researching how other journalism organizations operate and in listening to SPJ member feedback, I discovered that not only does the delegate system not work, but it's not popular. This is a 90-10 issue. That is to say that 90% of the members who weighed in on the matter at public meetings and in writings felt that the delegate system did not represent them well, and that they would like to use their own voices in the governance of SPJ. Despite what critics have said, this amendment does not give the National Board any more power than it already has. This amendment empowers the members, all members, rather than just a few insiders. This amendment invites member engagement and interest in SPJ and gives every member ownership of SPJ's future.
Any effort to table this resolution would be a mistake. This matter was studied closely, and I'm sure this proposal has been more thoroughly and broadly discussed than any amendment SPJ has seen in many years. It deserves an up or down vote today. If the delegates can't adopt an amendment that they know is popular with a majority of SPJ members, it will only further prove that the delegate system is not representative of the body that it purports to represent. Vote yes on block C. Vote yes on one member, one vote.
Having said that, I agree everything the previous speaker said. I was in the area analysis task force, and the reality is most chapters don't participate in the delegate system. Last year, there were 120 chapters that did not have representation. There were 54 that did. And there were 7 meetings that didn't have representation of the delegates. And there were long-time chapter members who were leading the chapters to cast votes as regional delegates, so we could get large laws. 3 people got 24 votes last year. That's more than 6 of the largest chapters in this year. So we really need to get rid of the delegate system. And as you can see, this meeting has not been a good meeting for robust discussion. It's been over an hour on minutia, and most of us got lost. So please vote in your hearts.
Excuse me, for the people in the back, this is not a concert. Please be respectful. These delegates are doing the job as volunteers. If you cannot refrain from being rude and disruptive, please leave. This is not a concert. This is business and this is serious. And I ask you with respect, respect these people, whatever opinion they may have. These people were chosen by the chapters to represent the people they represent. Again, if you cannot refrain from making out loud comments, please leave. It is being disrespectful to all these people who have volunteered their time, and that is important. Please continue. Council Rose Hopkins, delegate for SPJ Region 11, also president of SPJ. I want to talk about equity. I want to talk about equity, I want to talk about diversity, and I want to talk about inclusion and belonging. The delegate system does not provide a means for our members to feel like they are part of this organization. They spend $75 of their hard-earned money. They should have a say in the direction that our organization is going. They should have a say in how we're governed. They should have a say in bylaws changes. And that should be democratic. We are a group of journalists. Our job is to ensure that our democracy is sustainable. So how can we as a group of journalists uphold those ideals if we ourselves are not governing with that same idea in mind? When I joined SPJ as a board member, the majority of our board members who have been on that board for decades had no idea about the delegate system, how it works, how we get delegates, what the process is. And I have found that to be the case with a lot of board presidents, vice presidents, and other officers that I have spoke to in the last 6 months. And that to me is disturbing. If the majority of our membership isn't even in the know about how we govern ourselves, that's a problem. And that is a problem that every single one of us should be concerned about. If our members have no say in the direction of our organization, why in the world should they continue to be a part of our organization? If they don't feel like they have representation in this organization, in the direction that we're going, I think what we will find is that in the next 10 to 15 to 20 years, our membership will decrease. Because what am I getting for that $75? Do I get to have a say? Do I get to have my voice be heard? And I'll say this too. When I look at the group that has been delegates in the last several years, not a lot of them look like me. And I think that's also an issue. We are in 2022 and we have to make sure that our organization
every single level and in how we govern represents what our industry looks like. We have to ensure that our members feel like they can belong here, that they have a say in what it is we're trying to do. So with that in mind, I ask you all to vote to get rid of the delegate system and put the power in the hands of our members who are paying us to represent them and to fight for them and to advocate for them. Give them the power back. This is what will ensure that we are always focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in our own organization. That in addition to holding the ideals of democracy outside our organization, we're doing the same inside our organization. Thank you so much, Chris.
I was gonna say.
That was great, thank you. This is Colin from New York, as much as I support and have actively advocated for doing away with the delegate system, I was part of the group that created the task force to analyze it. I cannot, in good conscience, support the proposed changes in Block C. These changes go far beyond providing all members a voice in shaping SPJ policy. These changes, and allow me to point out just a few of those proposed changes that actually have little to do with the delegate system that I have trouble with. Number one, under Article 5, the changes take away the majority power of convention, this body here, to establish chapters or communities, revoke charters of delinquent chapters or communities, and requiring financial reporting to convention by request. The proposals consolidate all this power with the board and takes power away from members. An arduous petition process requiring volunteer leaders to conduct nationwide outreach outside of convention is an arduous backstop. Number two, in Article 10, it states, quote, the convention shall be supreme legislative body of the organization, unquote. That has been deleted and replaced with language giving membership sole authority to ratify bylaws and resolution proposals, quote, on the ballot, unquote. Note that 670 people voted on the ballot for our officers this year. This is essentially converting the convention process to an up or down email ballot. Sure, there is room to debate proposals at convention, but they cannot be modified by convention. Article 14 requires proposed bylaws amendments to, quote, be discussed, unquote, at a public meeting 200 days before the annual election in order to be considered. If this change were in place already, in order to consider at this convention a bylaws change, it would have had to have been discussed in March of this year. Also, how is this even defined? A 30-second exchange, a detailed proposal on the agenda? It is unclear language that legislates this society. Article 14 and Article 11 both include new rules on petitioning bylaws, amendments, or resolutions. A petition requires, quote, the leaders of a minimum of 20% of the chapters and communities considered as active and good standing, unquote. Who are these leaders? Are they presidents only? Are they all chapter and community board members? Does this include campus chapters? How do we know how we've reached the 20%? Who is keeping count of the total number to know when 20% is reached? Chapter leaders can barely keep track of an accurate count of their own members. Are we to assume or interpret this language as meaning chapter or community board action in support of petition? These are bylaws. Let's take the assumptions or interpretations out of it, make the language crystal clear. Lastly, Article 11 requires resolutions, which are motions that compel action by the society, be proposed 125 days before the annual election. If in place today, resolutions for this convention would have needed to be submitted in June. So if an issue had come up after June that might have required SPJ to act or study it, proposals for task forces, journalism advocacy positions, compelling board or executive director action, etc. What all have happened over 4 months before we all get together here to immerse ourselves in journalism and SPJ like we're doing this weekend. The above have absolutely nothing to do with delegates or giving all the members the right to include their voices in shaping SPJ policies. If these changes had focused only on doing that, I would support them. But as written, as this proposal, I will vote against it, and I hope you will too. As much as I hate using oxygen and energy to talk about bylaws, this is too important, and it deserves new attention and bringing back a more narrow proposal next year. Thanks.
Great.
Hi, I'm Stacey Johnson. I live in New York, in New Region 1, and I am the vice chair of the freelance committee. I see lots of your faces. There's a lot of anger, and I'm just going to say I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy to see your faces. When I disagree with someone, that does not mean that I dislike them, disrespect you. Ashanti, I now count as a very close friend of mine in this organization. I do not agree with Ashanti. I agree that we need more diversity at every level, but I don't agree with the one member, one vote. Rebecca and I do not agree on this. I went to the Leadership Academy with Rebecca. We hit it off. We met in person. We got along great. She's a freelancer like me. Of course I did. So I just want to be clear that I am not, if you come up and tell me that you are against this or for this, I will not write you off, right? So I just want to be clear on that. I was a member of the delegate task force, and we did meet 7 times. And I'm just gonna, I don't have a speech. I'm gonna tell you just about my experience with that quickly. We met virtually 7 times, and maybe 6 of those times, maybe 5 of those times, it was an education session, and like, you know, here, Paul Fletcher came one time to tell us how he formed the delegate system, and then someone else came to tell us how it all works. You know, one session was just how other organizations do it. So if you think there was rigorous debate for 7 sessions, you are wrong. There was not rigorous debate for 7 sessions. I called Adam Sennett on more than one occasion. I disagree with a lot of what Adam Sennett has done leading up to this conference, but again, he's a human that deserves respect and love and kindness, and that's where I stand. I stand firmly in that. So Adam Sennett and I talked, and I said, we need to have a discussion. The next meeting is going to be the vote on what we should do. And I said, wait a minute. We've had all this time of us learning about the system, but why are we not discussing the options of what to do instead? Why is it just one member, one vote only? Why is it this dysfunctional delegate system and one member, one vote? I do not like the delegate system as it stands now. I am the lone dissenting voice on the delegate task force. I do not agree with one member, one vote. That does not mean that I agree with the current delegate system. I made that clear in my dissent. If you read it, I do not agree. It needs to be fixed. I got some ideas on how to fix it. Nobody cares. Nobody wanted to know that. We didn't discuss that. I think at the very least, we should have said, okay, if we're going to vote for, our committee says, yes, we're going to put one law or one member, one vote. What if all the delegates sitting here don't want to vote themselves out? Then what? Then we're back to a dysfunctional delegate system. We didn't have an option B, and that is my biggest problem with the delegate task force. We should have had option B and C and D. We should have been able to discuss this. There were great minds on this delegate task force. There were, I don't know what the collective number of years of journalism. I have 23 years of experience in journalism. I don't know the collective number of years, but it was a lot. We could have come up with some great things. I firmly believe that if we walked in there with clear minds, without the agenda to push forward one member, one vote, we could have come up with something great. I think we can still do that. We did not do that on this task force. If you watch the videos, I hope you did. If you didn't, please go back and watch them, because it was decided that we were gonna do one member, one vote. And as much as I wanted to debate it, as much as I wanted to have conversation, no one else entertained that. We should have had 2 or 3 meetings just on that. In fact, when we said the next meeting is going to be on the discussion, let's put in, to make shorter meetings, because we're all volunteering our time. We said, let's put our ideas in a Google Doc. How many members are on the task force? 7 or 8. Roughly, I don't know, sorry, I don't know that. But there was 7 or 8 members on the task force. 2 of us put our ideas in the Google Doc. Was it Colin? I know you added at the end, you did, but it was Colin or Brendan. Yeah, it was one, I'm sorry that I don't remember. And me. And no one else did. No one else put anything in. Ashanti did agree with the Brendan and added on to that, so she did do that. But no one else put anything in. In fact, one of the people on the task force I never heard speak. So I feel like there was a lack of robust debate. This is too important to not have that robust debate. I'm actually not saying that I'm against one member, one vote, but there needs to be a better debate about it. Paul Fletcher took 2 years to come up with the delegate stuff. Trying to dismantle that in a few months. I don't think the delegate system worked out the way that everybody hoped it would. I think there are fixes to that. I think that the delegate system encourages engagement, more engagement. Some of you are delegates and very engaged. I wonder, will you still be next year, 5 years from now? If you are now not a delegate, if you are not in here fighting for what the people in your region want, the people in your chapter want. I think the one member, one vote, that's too much power into a single small board and to the very large chapters. Some of you are in small chapters here today and think, oh, this is great, we want a voice. You will have lots of one. New York, deadline. I live in New York. The New York Deadline Club will have more of a voice because they have a lot more members than, right? So they can rally their members around. They got 150 votes for something. So I just want you to consider it, to think about my experience, to think about what I'm saying about, again, a robust debate about this. I respect every person in this room. Please do not doubt that and second guess my integrity. I am friends with all of you, and I will continue to be that. I will continue to be in this organization, and I'm going to be the next chair of the art freelance community. Come by and say hi, and that's it.
Thank you.
Kevin Smith, Region 4, former president of the society and now a new board member. Madam Chair, parliamentarian, wish somebody had made the motion for discussion.
Yes.
But I will try to be brief. I rise in opposition to this for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think that one member, one vote sounds great. I mean, who's going to be opposed to everyone having an opportunity to vote? It sounds like a great democratizing of an organization. The fact of the matter is, it is not the silver bullet that's going to provide us with representation. You have had a year to convince the people of this organization, the 5,000 members, you've had a year to convince them that one person, one vote is the way this organization needs to go in the future. You had their attention. And when they voted today, 602 people voted in a popular vote, one person, one vote. 12% of our organization represented themselves today. Conversely, if you look at the delegate count is somewhere around 100. If you look at the delegate count, and one vote per every 50 people, or a portion thereof, the average chapter size is around 30 people. The quick math is that these delegates sitting here, all of you as delegates, are representing somewhere near 40 to 45% of our membership in a delegate format, as opposed to a one person, one vote. That's all I'll say about that. My biggest opposition to this is what I think is a serious problem in this block, has to do with the ethics code provisions. But so those of you who don't know, I served on the ethics committee for 23 years. I chaired the committee from 1994 to 1996. It took us 2 years to fashion an entire revision of an ethics code. Because I'm a glutton for punishment, which obvious because I'm back on board, I took on the task again in 2013. It took us a year. I want to read to you what this says, and then I want to tell you very briefly what we did. It says, only the ethics committee can propose amending the ethics code. That should concern all of us, because that's not the way we do things at SPJ. If you are a member, if you're a rank and file member of this organization, and you want to propose something to the ethics committee or ethics code, you have that right. The ethics committee is simply a conduit for making that happen. It took us, this last ethics code, it took us a year of laborious work. We were inclusive. We even talked to people outside of SPJ. We brought in experts and we talked to people in IRE and ONA and a number of our organizations. And we sat down, and it was a task force of 17 people to do this. This sets particular guidelines. 125 days, okay, is what we have to consider the ethics code. We have 125 days for the ethics code to provide provisions. Then there is a comment period in which all of you are allowed to talk for 60 days, not a year, 60 days. And beyond that, then there's 45 days before convention before they have to tell you when the provisions. Now, if you're making a line item change, that's one thing. But imagine, and there's no difference in here, imagine if you want to revise the entire ethics code of SPJ, and you as members have 60 days to make up your mind what you want to do. The board approves it and puts it in front of you, and you cannot amend it at the convention or have any further say. That is enormously problematic, and it's not the way we do ethics codes in this organization, and it's not the way we should be doing a lot of things. So that's my comment about that. I think that in itself alone, you should vote down this block for that reason. Thank you.
Hello, I am Sabina Ronho. I am for Region 7 Midwest. I pay $75 or however much many people pay for membership, right? What am I paying for, right? I'm paying to be a part of this organization and make a difference. And one vote, you know, one person, one vote, that's my that's my, I'm supporting that organization, right? That's what I'm paying for. I'm paying to also learn from other professionals. I'm also learning to expand and to, you know, continue my career and to stay within the organization. So, you know, some people will see this at $75, however much they're paying, that as a resume booster, because that's what they're doing. They're not doing anything. And so the vote, like, I'm doing something, contributing to something. I'm making a difference. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Neely Mora. I am one of the board members. I represent May and I'm also the house person. I went home meetings, and one thing that really stood out to me listening to everything was that there's only organization that's governmental. And AHA has it, and AHA has it, and AHA.
Lauren Bartlett from Regional
God, we have the East and the West Coast to be okay. And that's not the message we want to send. I also have one other issue. I have a problem, and this is really something that I debated about, what our officers should be saying versus what they shouldn't be saying to us. Since I'm a delegate, I got email directing me to vote for this particular proposal from our officers. And I have a problem with that. That's not an ethical thing. We as journalists are supposed to be unbiased and tell the full story. And when we're only getting half the story from our own officers, I have an ethical issue with that. Thank you.
Irving Kratz, Maine Pro, and I really will be brief. For those of you who are interested in one member, one vote, I don't necessarily oppose that. The problem I have with this proposal, and you've heard some of the detail before, is that it simply takes too much power away from individual members. By concentrating too much wording power in the hands of either our bylaws committee or our board or our ethics committee. I would further say in conclusion that for those of you who are uncomfortable because of those reasons, we will be taking up next our resolution, which both contains the kind of language that I think would provide a much more acceptable alternative, can actually be adopted at this session because even as an amendment, I suspect our parliamentarian would probably correctly rule it out of order. But there is an option on the table that I think you who support one member, one vote would find acceptable. Thank you.
I'll take this off. Can you guys hear me?
Who are you?
My name is Stephanie Casanova. I am representing Ohio, I believe it's Region 4. This is my first time here. I'm also a print journalist, so I'm not used to all of this. So if I seem nervous, I am. I've never felt welcome to SPJ. I have never seen people that look like me in SPJ. I have never felt the urge to join SPJ. I feel like there is no accessibility for people who can't afford to come to conventions. And so I feel like the one member, one vote, being able to participate, even if I don't join, or if I'm not able to come to the convention, if I guess I'm not sure how to put this into words right now, but this feels complicated and inaccessible. And I think the one member, one vote makes sense. It's what made me feel welcome at NAHJ. Made me feel like I can be represented at NAHJ. I feel like SPJ has always been kind of behind when it comes to, as Ashanti was saying, diversity, inclusion, belonging, welcoming people who look like me to these spaces. So.
Bienvenido.
Steve Listerfeld, co-chapter based in Little Rock. To Stephanie, who just spoke, I have heard similar complaints to what you just said this year, and it's opened my eyes. And thank you for repeating concerns I've heard elsewhere, so it lends them credibility. The Arkansas Pro Chapter voted to direct me to vote for one member, one vote. Us country folk in Little Rock, bordering Louisiana, support one member, one vote.
Hello,
Hello, everybody. My name is Annie Bennett. I'm the president of SPJ's Emerson College chapter, and I am also a member of SPJ New England. So I thought a lot about this, and I really try to look at both sides of an issue, especially something that is as important as this. And I reflected on my few years that I've been in SPJ, and granted, I am fairly new, I understand that. And every time I've gone, there's been a huge emphasis on recruiting new members. That's our big goal, right? We want younger people, we want college students, we want older people, we want diversity, we want all of that. So when I was trying to get a group of people from my chapter to be able to come here from my school, we spent about 3 weeks, a total of about 5 hours maybe, trying to get money from the school to send people here. We were able to send 3, and that's all we could afford. Also, everybody in this room could take off 2 days of work to come here. It's been said before, and I want to emphasize it again, being here is a privilege. And if we want to talk about representation, we have to take into account the people that cannot afford that privilege, right? So when we're talking about if you want to come and have a say, you have to fly out from wherever. If it gets tabled, you have to fly out again next year and come here and vote. That's not practical for a lot of people. Let's make it more accessible. I wouldn't even known about the delegate program if someone from SPJ New England had reached out to me. I don't feel qualified to do this, all right? I should not have more of a say than the other people in my chapter because I got lucky and I have a connection with somebody who went here. We looked, I mean, to me, this is essentially the electoral college, right? And if you look at the last 2 elections, and I'm not getting into the national politics at all, but if you look at the last 2 elections, the popular vote did not match what happened because the system of the delegates doesn't really work in that situation, and it hasn't been working in this situation. I understand the idea of let's wait a year, all right? Let's try again. There has not been enough debate about this. I want to see it done better. We spent an hour talking about undoing a motion to undo a different motion. I had a clue what was going on, all right? Thank you. We can't just keep pushing things. This is why the government isn't working. This is why things don't get done because of the bureaucracy of let's wait until it's perfect, right? I believe in this committee, and I believe that everyone here has the best interest at heart. So why don't we pass something that is crucial to representation, that is crucial to what we are trying to do at SPJ, and then work together to fix the wording, to fix the issues if and when they come up. Let's get this passed now when we have the space for it. People have worked tirelessly to get this space for it, and we can come together and work on the issues later. Thank you.
I'm Bob Becker. A bunch of you know me. I hope you took the time before you came into the room to read Resolution 3, because it explains why you should delay this vote or kill this proposal and come back next year with one that works. If you want to implement one member, one vote, the language that's necessary just to do that is here. It takes 1.5 pages. Take that part, all of that page, and the first.
In the microphone.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It starts here, goes through here, and ends at the top of that page. That's all that's necessary to implement one member, one vote. And allow the members to participate in the debate. What will happen in this case, under these proposals, is you will get a ballot with the language to vote up or down. You will have town hall meetings where you may be able to speak, but you have no ability to direct the board to do anything, to change the language. You will not have the ability that members, the delegates had last year and in past years, when they saw things they didn't like, to direct the board to do something. In Baltimore, the Koch Institute funded a session, and Sinclair Broadcasting bought space on the bags. And members were concerned about taking money from those entities, and they put in a resolution to create a task force to examine sponsorship. That happened because of what was going on at the convention. Last year, when Colin and others were concerned about the delegate system, they put in a resolution to have the task force. Those will not be possible anymore because the deadline for resolutions will be 4 months before the convention. The other thing that happens here is now the boards of 10 chapters, professional chapters, student chapters, communities, can propose bylaws amendments and get them to the floor, either themselves, or if the board refuses to bring them to the floor, those 10 chapters can get them to the floor for a vote by whoever is going to vote. And I understand everybody wants one member, one vote. The concern is whether we do it properly. Under these proposals, more than 30 chapter leaders, however you define that, would have to first say, we want this amendment to come to the floor. And if 30 chapter leaders say that, or 30 plus, then 5% of the membership, which is now something over 300 members, would have to vote in support of that in order to get it to the floor. This year, fewer than 700 members voted, okay, in the election. Under the proposals, only 10% of the voters would have to vote on the amendments to the bylaws. So this year, the quorum for voting on a bylaws amendment is 70 members. And 2/3 of those would have to vote yes. That's something under 50 members could change the bylaws this year at a minimum. That's not good. Before the task force and the bylaws committee came to you with a proposal for one member, one vote, they should have examined how to do that in a way that allowed the convention to exist so they could debate and vote. They did not. We don't know. There are platforms out there that allow us, they're called public engagement platforms. They allow for mass meetings at which people can speak and vote. They exist, governments use them, corporations use them. We could use them to have a convention in which all members who want to can participate in this meeting, this kind of meeting, and vote. We don't know how much it costs. We don't know what's involved, which would be the appropriate thing to use. Before we did one member, one vote for elections, we asked the executive director to go investigate systems for voting, online voting. And he did, and we knew what it would cost, and we knew how it would work. You don't know that now, because they decided that you should not have this meeting. You should just be presented with a choice, yes or no, on certain language. This proposal doesn't do that. This proposal allows this kind of a meeting to go on and end up with a decision of how as many members as want to participate. It's very brief because it does nothing more than that. It doesn't mess with how resolutions are done. It doesn't mess with how the bylaws amendments are done. Or, I'm sorry, the code of ethics changes are done. It just brings one member, one vote to this entity. And I urge you to either defeat this proposal so that we can do something like this next year. And I'm pretty sure that it will pass if you do that without a lot of debate. So all I ask is that you seriously consider the cost as well as your desire for one.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, I'm Joanna Hernandez from Florida. I want to thank everybody for all of their opinions. I really love discussion and everything, but I think that we're going circular, and I like to call vote.
Call the question. Call the question.
Call the question. I bet to vote.
Yes.
Hi, Brendan O'Reilly, I second that motion.
There you go.
And there's
Oh,
no
question
debate.
for vote?
We vote on calling the question.
Two-thirds. Vote on call, that's calling the question.
We're not voting on the proposal, we're voting on calling the question.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor?
Right. All in favor?
I'm gonna break this computer.
Sorry?
Oh my God.
Don't, with, no matter which way it goes, we have to fix it. And I'm gonna go with what the board found. I hope so.
No? First half. No votes?
No. This is on calling the question.
This is on calling the question. Step down.
No
Step
votes,
down.
please.
Right.
That's right.
Either way, it has to be fixed. But. But you know, they should have the people.
All right, we're moving on to question. 96 yes, 4 no. So we're moving on to question, voting on question to approve block C. Oh, yes.
What's the question?
To keep this.
No.
No, this is whether you approve the changes to the.
One member, one vote.
No.
Block C.
Voting on question to approve block C.
Which
And
is.
Block C includes the one member, one vote thing, and all the other stuff we just now are talking about. So we want to approve that for the whole year, done, done.
I don't want the one that I have to. I thought you told me to have
For block C, voting on question to approve block C.
one member, one vote. Yeah, okay.
It's not perfect.
Not to discuss. No, that's not what this is. That's okay. I know. Every day.
Ready for the nose? Ready for the nose?
All noes.
Move it along.
Right. Like, in that not able to just change things. That was not. They added so they could later say. Oh, it was next year.
Right, yeah, I see.
All right, here it is. Yes, 47, no, 48.
Oh, man.
Now we're moving to, we have a motion so that we may start discussion on block B. I just wanted to let you know that we need to be out of here in 15 minutes.
Testing University, Region 2, motion to reconsider the previous question.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Motion to reconsider.
Point of order, Al Cross, doesn't this require that she have voted on the prevailing side?
That is correct.
Across, correct.
Well, how did she vote?
So we can't consider it.
Are you saying you know how I voted?
We can't tell, so it's out of order.
So I'm gonna need some parliamentary help here, but being that we have a vote that's divided by one vote, I think it would be appropriate to call to divide the House in order to count the votes and make sure that there are no discrepancies in vote count.
Point of order, we already have a physical vote count.
It was a vote count divided by one vote, and some of these little things say two, and some say one, and some say God knows what. I think we need an accurate accounting of the vote.
Here, here.
I don't know what it is. Citizens Dominion voting.
It'll take 45 seconds.
So I found the, President Riley, I found the appropriate motion, I believe. It's called, I'm challenging the votes, I am challenging the chair's count of the vote and calling for a division of the assembly.
It stands up both ways, right?
Second?
Second.
Let's come up to,
Bob Shapiro, New Jersey, I second. It'll just take a minute.
We need to stand up anyway.
Have a card that has a number 2 on it. And
all those in favor?
Jump up and down.
This is on favor of block C.
All those in favor of block C? Please raise your rest.
This is your card.
So we're at a point of order, voting on block C. Now
Yes.
we're voting to simply do the vote.
You're voting on block C. This is block C.
So standing down, roll call.
I'm fine with that.
I want to be thankful.
What if it's 48, 47 years? I'm gonna kill them.
keep your hands up. We're gonna tap each
Then the vote
row.
will change. I know. Then we'll have a tie. and then-
Point of order, Madam President. I would direct the parliamentarian to provision of 38.5.
We're in the middle of a vote.
He's in the middle of.
This is not point of order, it takes
That
precedent.
interrupts it.
Regarding renewability of motions in the same session.
Wait, are we voting
There are
now or
no,
not?
there is no intention to allow renewing of a motion when you're just dissatisfied with the outcome.
Every election is this close, has a recount. That's just never politics.
This is,
I should up there.
You say your name.
Point of clarity.
I'm able to, I want to, they're huddling.
I've never heard of challenge county. I guess. Correct.
Can you keep, sorry, can you
No, I
keep
mean,
your,
I don't think we can. It's just.
Point taken, but overruled.
okay, now.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're gonna.
So now we're voting yes for.
Same vote as last time, Rob.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we just lost a vote on tired arms.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, you can move the vote. Now, no votes, please.
Oh, we're voting. Sorry, is this the no vote?
Yes, sir, that's the no vote.
No one talking.
All the no votes, can you just
Put
put
it back up.
them up and hold them up?
It's the no, they're gonna count them. Just be patient, please.
Thank you.
We won't show the election. Still at the stage.
No, I brought these little pocket knives. Oh, yeah. Oh, reminds me, Rich. You got one, right?
Yeah.
Tie, vote.
Motion is defeated.
It's a tie vote.
Chair vote? Chair vote?
Motion fails.
No, it doesn't. You're not a delegate?
All right, now we want to
Not a delegate?
have a motion so that we may start discussion on block B.
So it's a tie, it just fails?
Oh, I apologize. It was a tie. 48 to 40. The motion is defeated. So now I have a motion, so that we may start discussion on block B.
Lauren Bartlett, Region 11, I move that we separate the two sections of Block D, Part 1, related to Article 14, and Part 2, part related to remote delegates.
We're going to put them on the screen. Is there a second motion?
Al Cross, Bluegrass, Jackson, second.
All right, now come on.
We're not gonna have it there, if we had one more vote. Yeah, absolutely.
They're so sanctimonious. That's protect you. Well, because we wasted the first 45. Only the first 45. And many individuals. Well, they're not entirely Robert's rules, with some exception. Not that I'm familiar with them. That's why it's a decipher.
It is just clean up a lot of things. Majority, 2/3, so that's why I said what I said. Robert's rules said at minimum, it's required 2/3. So think about it. You can change your bylaws, you're there, voting village, all you need is a majority.
Everybody saw you tonight. Everybody respected yourself.
I apologize for that side conversation. We're talking about, we have to have this room cleared out at 6 o'clock because of the banquet. And what's happening is the server is gonna start setting everything up for the banquet. So I was trying to find out, where do we move this to? I mean, obviously, the town president, and the town in front of all of you. So there's an option of, our options are, because almost not on the hall.
No, there's not.
We can continue to debate, but they're gonna start moving those chairs, so my apologies to people who came in as audience people. You may have to leave, that's unfortunate. The delegates, I see you stayed here, and there are already tables here. So what we can do, my hope is you will be able to hear me or our parliamentarian over the notes. So that's the plan. Are you good with that?
Point of order. Outcross made the alternates join us in the delegate section. There's some alternates back there.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think if I sit those tables. So, can we get a motion to start discussion? Oh, second.
I'm staying tonight anyway, so.
I don't want to go there.
I feel like we should have a business session on Thursday and second one on Saturday. All this important stuff.
Would you face? Sure, I'm just facing wherever the microphone is. Okay, tell me when you repeat it.
And tell us who you are.
Okay, Lauren Bartlett, Region 11. I move that we separate Block D into 2 parts. The first part that relates to Article 14, and the second part that relates to remote delegates.
Yes.
Okay.
So now, can you see?
Yes.
We need you.
Where are we on? See if we pass, we could all. We're in front of ourselves.
Now what's the?
Isaac and I were trying to read it today. It's nothing that bad, and it's really unclear. The lack of clarity. For instance, it says.
When Artemis comes, while she's working on that, I would call for us to have a vote that
This is like,
as soon as she's ready.
proving that people can vote virtually if the convention allows it.
Zoe, can you?
Yes.
You want to get out? Somebody behind you. You're welcome. Very I'm retired. Very good.
Just to confirm, Block T has three proposals. Proposal number one is basically housekeeping. Let's see. Proposal number two is related to remote participation by delegates, not required, but allowing the non-proposal commission to act. Proposal number three is something that has to be directly keeping. Proposal number four, I believe, is what you're asking to break out. So we want to consider only proposal number four, which is Article 14.
I'm sorry.
So you want to consider only proposal four, which is Article 14. You want to break that out of the law?
Article 14 as one, and Article.
We want to break them both out.
Well, we want to break them both out.
Well, there's actually four proposals, so I want to make sure that voting. Okay, so hold on, I will have to renumber these and say this is two documents. So this would be, I'll just say proposal 4 is the one we're breaking out into the first breakout. Proposal 4.
I don't know if you want two separate words. I mean,
I'm just breaking them into two. So this is proposal 4. And we'll call that.
Alex, I'm not.
And I'm going to show you two documents.
The one that would change the convention article is the second one. The one that changes the amendment article is the first. The one that changes the convention article is the second.
I took proposal 2.
Okay, so proposal number 1, we do not want in 100. Proposal number 1 is, there's just 4 proposals. So
One, it's two pieces. One is the amendments to Article 14.
no, I'm talking about the original block D. In the original block D, proposal number 1 is items of Article 5. In the original block D, proposal number 2 concerns Article 10. Proposal number 3 concerns Article 12. And proposal number 4 concerns Article 14. So just making it easier to determine which articles you want to break out. Article 10, convention.
Article 10 and 1, that's, I guess, number 2 and number 4.
So at this point, we are not.
Article 10 and Article 14.
Article 5.
Or I would say, Ms. Alex, the easier way to do it might be to break Article and alcohol is rest.
But I'm fine with this.
Just, we can do all of them except Article 10.
Policy or ten together. So you want, am I clear to say that you want Article 10 broken out from the other three? Okay, yeah, I was going to.
Right, there were no calendars.
So this one will be Article 10 only. Article 10 only. Just want to be able to understand this later, you know, you correct. This is Article 10 only, and nothing else we can see. That's law. And you have a preference on which article, I'm not even going to say this, which order we discussed, and then you want Article 10 first?
I think we can dispose of part of the bigger block first.
Okay, let's do that. So I'm gonna say Article 10. And then I'll go back to this. Basically, this will be all others, but Article 10 will be the first one. Okay, let me say this. Number issues later. All except.
You want to get out?
Okay, so you want to discuss proposals 1, 3, and 4 with the lump.
No, there's not changing.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second to adjourn? A second. I'm sorry, but there are only 2 motions. Separate the unfortunately, I do that. All right. Just a moment, I'm just as glad as you are. So what we're going to do is take our bodies and go to the room next door. Jennifer, right? And we may not have microphones, but I could do broadcast. So when we go to bed and continue the business of this, all right, because they have to have this paper ready. I still have to memorize like 40 pages of stuff, okay?
Bring your car.
The unfortunate thing is, I don't believe we have to sit over there to see the list. Oh, Erwin said we'll give you one.
Will there be
Don't ask me any questions or anything. Thank you so much.
All right. Let me see. Everybody, thank you for moving over here in an orderly manner. Is Alex still up there? Alex? Wow, they set this up quickly.
You're right.
All right.
What would you like to
Put
say?
mine around there and you can plug in this plug, works better.
See that. It's asleep right now. Wake up. Did it die?
All right.
Did it die?
Oh, I'm gonna change to my reading glasses.
I don't know. Thank you.
Okay.
I can look a little better. It defaults to 4:3. So projector forces it.
Go, girl, go.
Okay. I'll do the extension cord. Thank you. Actually, maybe I should, I still have a fair amount of juice left. Maybe I should put it.
Yeah, if you need it, it's right here.
Get over it. What is that for? Oh, should I hit somebody with that?
The live stream.
Where am I at? Where am I at right now? Then.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's audio record, that's what matters.
You are sweet. Can you give me a shot?
A lot of that tonight.
All right. Are we ready?
You still have the pads I gave you?
No, I don't know. They're in there. Right. What's on it?
I think there was some in the middle.
Okay.
All right, ready. Excuse me, can we have a little order in here, please? I guess I'm supposed to use this thing. Oh, shoot. That's so old school. Anyway. Oh, I hope so. All right. I'm not trying to shut anybody up because I'm sure somebody will say that. Alex, it's all yours.
Okay. I think this will be okay. So what we have done here is we have broken out proposal number 3. Nope, it's proposal number 2 from D, which covers Article 10 on the convention. And we are considering proposal number 1, which covers changes to Article 5. Proposal number 3, which is about record keeping in Article 10 on the executive director. And proposal number 4, which is basically a revision of the current Article 14 on the amendment. And I want to confirm my statements earlier that we got assistance from Bob Becker on this, and it is meant to clarify the process. It is not making structural changes to the current process to clarify language. So those 3 are under consideration now in this subset of block D. Yeah, in this block, which is block D, this is a subset of the 3 proposals. And if people want to make a motion, I'm. Right, we did. We had the motion to separate. We have done the separation. Oh, you didn't vote on the separation. I'm sorry. So, and then the other item will be 10 is broken out of the block D.
Question on.
Thank you, Erwin. Appreciate your guidance. I'm sorry.
I'm moving for an acclamation from the motion on the floor.
Unanimous
For
consent.
unanimous consent.
Second. That means everybody.
Thank you.
If there's no objection, then it's done.
Thank you for letting us hear you from back there. Sorry you don't have mics.
I can be loud.
That's fine. All right.
Okay, so then that means we're gonna go ahead,
Do the vote for the separation.
right?
Separation.
No, separation already happened.
All
We're gonna
right.
vote on this. on
I'm
block
sorry,
D.
my head is gel.
I'm
Okay.
block D. So the question on the floor is voting on block D.
I'm sorry, I heard the bourbon. Please stop. Okay. What?
Vote now, voting on the question to approve block D.
All right, we're now voting on the question to approve block D. Minus the one,
Wait, Madam President?
yes.
I'll go ahead and move block C as it has been revised, without section 10. Just need a second.
All right, you want to come up here to the mic? I'm sorry. He needs.
Absolutely, I love microphones, I'm in radio. Erwin Gratz, Maine Pro, I will move that we adopt block D minus section 10, which we're going to vote on separately.
Thank you.
Robert Becker, I will second the motion.
Okay. Yes, yes.
Is there
Oh,
a
yes,
yeah?
I'm sorry.
Any
No,
discussion? Excuse me. Any discussion?
All in favor?
Yes. Oh,
All in,
All right.
all right.
all in favor?
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. I know they're all in a hurry to get out. All in favor?
Aye.
Any, okay, any opposed? The motion passes.
Okay.
All right.
So now,
I guess we make a motion to consider Article 10 in block D. Too.
I can make a motion on the.
That's proposal number 2.
All right.
Okay, this is Lauren Bartlett, Regional 11. I move that we reject proposal to the changes to Article 10.
is there a second?
Is there a second?
Bob Becker, I will make second.
Is there,
Do you want to say it's in Article 10 because people are there?
We should say what's in Article 10.
And I should actually switch the screen because of this one, Article 10 is crossed out and people cannot read it. So I should switch to the one that is Article 10 only. Okay, and maybe expand it a little bit. Yeah, I can get to my computer. Oh, God, sorry. Butterfingers. Okay, so Article 10, I just want to be clear. The main two changes here is it refers reference to present on the floor. In the bylaws as they exist on our website, they say voting must be done by accredited delegates or their accredited alternate delegates present on the floor of the convention. And that is in Article 10, Section 4. And in Section 5, it says a convention quorum is present when delegates or alternates with the authority to cast at least half of the delegate votes, a portion according to Article 10, Section 4. Oh, there is, by the way, there are two things to consider in this. There is a numbering error, which has to do with things that have been inserted over the years that has caused some confusion. So there are two things to consider this. In Article 10, Section 3, are on the convention floor. We changed that in the meeting. So there are actually two things to change in this. One is Article 10, Section 3 is as it currently reads on our website, and it should be Article 10, Section 4. So that's an error. The second thing is that we remove two references to present on the floor, and we provide the option to be for delegates to participate remotely. We do not require it. So in other words, with this change, it would be up to the board and the executive director of plan. They could go with either a fully in-person conference like this, a fully virtual, or a hybrid. And the reason that the bylaws committee recommended this is that during the pandemic, when we held the all virtual conference, the board had to vote to suspend the bylaws in order to hold the all virtual conference. So that's why there are the two, we removed the two present on the floor. But there are actually two things, and I don't know if they should be split up and voted on separately because one of those is actually a correction of a cross numbering. Okay. All right.
So the question on the floor is to reject this amendment. Debate, please. And can we be a little bit brief?
Oh, yes, I will be. I will be very brief. Okay. What? Okay. Bob Becker. The concern I have about this amendment is I think that if we were going to fix the delegate system, we would want to do this, but we would need to understand the system to do it so that it is secure and we know that the person at the other end of the line who's not in the room is in fact the delegate who is supposed to be voting. And there's no provision in this to maintain the integrity of the debate and the security of the system. That should be investigated and presented with this. The system of how we would do it should be presented with the amendment for approval in the future.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just moving the mic so you can stand there.
I'm in favor of approving Section 10 to allow for remote delegate participation. It moves us closer to a more equitable society, and that's where we ultimately want to be, and allowing people to participate remotely. We have the tools, the technology to do that. No brainer to me, so I would vote in favor of keeping the proposed language here.
Hi, Annie Bennett. I'll be brief. This not having delegates be able to vote remotely is, to be frank, a form of voter suppression, right? When you look at the way that we talk about voter fraud and that the actual rates of it happening don't back up the argument for it, I feel like it's the same thing here. Have we had instances of people pretending to be somebody else? No. It could happen, sure. But think about the disabled population. Think about the people in SPJ who might be middle class, lower middle class, impoverished. There are so many people that can't come here and can't vote because they don't have the resource to do so. They might have an autoimmune disorder. They might have mobility issues that make traveling significantly difficult. This is a basic equity question. The pandemic revealed that a hybrid work model makes everybody be able to be included at levels they haven't before. Let's take the good part of what we learned about COVID, bring it in with us. This idea of security is not backed up by anything that has happened. Yes, it could hypothetically happen if someone felt really strongly about an SPJ law that they wanted to go under and investigate for. But the reality of this is it could make a huge difference, and it's a lot more likely to help people than it is to hurt. Thank you.
Mike Ewing, Chicago Headline Club. I came here today to back one person, one vote. Now that's not a thing. A big part of our reason for backing that proposal is equity and access and affordability, which is really essential for our membership. So if we can't have that where all our members are being engaged, we'll definitely be voting yes on this measure so that people can vote remotely. And it's not limited to the people who can be in this room at this time, but to all of our membership.
Thank you.
Hi, Katie Sword, SPJ, Oregon. Not usually one to come up and share either, but I'm shocked that we would ever say no to this. I've we learned nothing in the last couple of years, especially as a member from Oregon and some of the other West Coast people having to fly out here is incredibly expensive. And I had to take off time from grad school and work to come here because I was the only one that could do it and make it work. It's also our largest expense of our chapter every year, which takes away funding that we could spend actually serving our members instead of being here in this room where we all want to leave. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
I'd hope to give a different speech. Rafael Almeida from Florida. I am baffled at now twice in this meeting, a motion to reject. There's no motion on the floor, but we're going to propose a motion to reject something that's not on the floor in the first place. Let us pitch the thing and then vote no. There's your motion to reject. That's how it works. What I'm grateful for is, in my experience, we've learned to ask ourselves a serious question whenever we want to pitch a change. What is broken that this fixes? What is broken that this fixes is what we were discussing here a few moments ago, which is there are people who should be in the room who are not and can't be. This proposal fixes that. So because I'm going to vote yes on this, I'm going to ask you to vote no on the motion on the floor. What happens if we vote yes on the motion on no on the motion on the floor? Did we adopt this? No, we have to have a new motion. No, it doesn't make sense. Nobody put this thing is not in your hands in the first place. I don't want any pie. Don't take the pie. You don't go and I want a motion to reject the pie. No, you just don't take it. So this is these motions to reject are baffling to me. I would just look, you make the motion, and if you want to reject it, you vote no. That's the easy way to do it. Anyway, thank you.
The man makes a point. I just want to say I would, if we could do a hybrid convention, that would be great. I thought our all virtual one last year was really good. I just want to let everybody know that we looked into doing a hybrid convention this year because there were some chapters that couldn't come here. And according to headquarters staff, it would cost $29,000 to do that. And it would be financially debilitating. It would cost even more next year. So yeah, just the delegating. Yeah, so consider that. There you go.
Lauren Bartlett, and as the maker of the motion, I just want to clarify, it was for the reasons Bob stated. We need to know what all the details are. We need to know how we would do this, what the costs are, to make sure that when we do it in a way that works well and is just like when we implemented one member, one vote for national office. We had done research and knew what we could do that provided secure voting.
Steve Listopad, Arkansas Pro Chapter. The language says if such means are available. You don't want to put too much minutia and you don't want to operationalize a constitution and bylaws down to fine details because things may change, technology changes, everything changes. But if such means are available, that covers everything, every concern. The board is not going to spend $1 million to make this happen. The board is not going to allow imaginary fake delegates to appear. If such means are available and the board chooses to allow it, then that's good. So vote for this.
Listen closely. Because I'm ready to go to my part. Would the maker of the motion, where is she? There you are. Entertain to motion, withdraw the current motion on the floor to reject and entertain to approve, yea or nay. Okay.
So you want to vote to reject this?
Yes.
Thank you, Bob, for giving her permission. It's a yes. All right.
So now you need a
can we do an
motion
audio?
to approve or reject this.
All right. Yeah, we have it on the floor. So all to reject this motion? No, I'm sorry. It's a.
So she's withdrawn it. So now let's move. The question on the floor is to approve this. Yes, approves, no, rejects.
Did you hear that? Yes, approves, no, rejects. All right, let's hear. Yes?
Say vote by card. Why don't you assign to this side? We're side. Yes.
So that's D, we're done. We passed everything in A and D.
No.
What side?
This side.
Move into a resolution.
First, we got it first.
This is in favor.
I'm just gonna go in and see. I'm just gonna take it.
Okay, put your cards down. Now the nose.
Now the nose, please.
$70 yes. 12 no.
Results are 70 yes. 12, is that 12?
Yes, that's
12 no. All right. The motion has been rejected.
Yes, 70 and 12.
So pass.
I was actually here first, so if you would indulge me, thank you so much. Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Is there a,
Oh, no. Sorry.
I have to approve the minutes.
You have to approve.
May I?
We can't.
I was gonna make a motion to include all of
We still got to.
all of the resolutions on the block, so you have one vote on all of them.
We still got to do.
You gotta
do the
minutes.
minutes.
Okay, so whichever order you want.
Oh, thank you. By the way, thank you so much. The motion passed.
Easily.
We wanted to get that on the YouTube channel.
All right, so we need to still.
All right, so in our passion to talk about everything, we forgot to approve the minutes. So, and does anybody know the minutes? Yes.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Okay, second. Approved by Michael, second by Irwin. All right.
Any discussion?
Any discussion about the minutes? All right, all in favor say yes. Or aye, whatever.
Any no's?
Any no's?
No.
Don't even start, man. Don't even start. All right, so let's, oh, did you want to say something?
Yes.
I mean,
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to,
You made the motion. You made the motion. You never got a second.
Hold on.
Because we stopped, so she was gonna second, but then we stopped because we had to approve the minutes. So that motion is still on the floor.
That is.
Get an opportunity to have a second. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I second.
Thank you.
And that is to adjourn. All right, vote?
I call the question. No.
No. All right, vote.
Yes.
All yes, say yes. Yes. Aye. Yes. No?
No.
Right, can we, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, can we use your little card votes, please? All right, we're gonna do yes first. This is a vote yes to adjourn.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, now the nose, please. Let's count. These are still the no's, people.
Hey, Karate, are you a no or a yes? Or are you?
You voted both.
All right, here we go.
22, so it's 3 cards now.
Yes. Yes.
31 no, 32 yes.
All right.
Motion passion.
All right. 31 no's, 32 yes, the motion passes.
Wow.
We're adjourned.
Congratulations. You never have to do that again if you don't want to. Good luck. Okay. And by the way, you ought to be in television. I know. It shows this afternoon. You did a great.
You know, with stuff like that, there's one rule.